Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I am your host, Orion. I got a great show for you here today between the Seattle Mariners and the Kansas City Royals. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes, so let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Saturday, everyone. Off the left, the best fielder in the game. It's J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. And on the right, one of the best shortstops in the game, if not the best, Bobby Witt Jr. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners at shortstop, J.P. Crawford. Batting second, playing center field, it's J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. Batting third, playing first base, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, left fielder, Randy Arozarena. Batting fifth, playing right field, Luke Raley. Batting sixth, playing second base, Cole Clutch Young. Batting seventh, DHing for Seattle, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. Batting eighth, catching today for Seattle, Johnny Pereda. And batting ninth, playing third base, Cole Emerson. And on the mound for the Mariners, our number one ace, 5-3 record, ERA of 3.45. It is Furious George Kirby. And now let's get into the starting lineups for the home Kansas City Royals. Leading off for the Royals at third base, Michael Garcia. Batting second, playing shortstop for Kansas City, Bobby Witt Jr. Batting third, playing first base, Vinny Pasquantino. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, DHing tonight for the Royals, Salvador Perez. Batting fifth, catching today for Kansas City, Carter Jensen. Batting sixth, playing right field, Jack Caglione. Batting seventh, playing left field, Isaac Collins. Batting eighth, playing second base, Michael Massey. And batting ninth, playing center field, Kyle Isbell. And on the mound for the Royals with a 2-0 record, an ERA of 4.24, Stephen Kolek. Try dance up. Let's go M's. We're going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. We are 17 subs away from 24,100. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Global broadcast on FS1. If you are searching for the game on Mariners TV, it is an FS1 exclusive. And again, from time to time, you're going to get these global broadcasts that come out. And again, I get it. Apps get expensive. And if you are a fan of the Mariners, no worries. I'll always be able to have, every app needed, whether it be FS1 or Apple TV Plus or anything of that nature, other than the regular Mariners TV. And I will definitely hold it down. Daniel in the building, what's good? Dark Passenger in the building, what's good? And I like our chances, obviously, here today with, George Kirby on the mound and Brian Wu on the mound tomorrow. Tomorrow's game will be on a little bit earlier than today. It's in the morning, 11:10 Pacific tomorrow. And again, a great way to be able to get the weekend started with the Memorial, Day weekend, obviously here and approaching, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And again, if we can win today and win tomorrow, that'll put us at 500. We're only a game and a half back from the Athletics in the division. And again, it's just a matter of time. We don't have Brendan Donovan. We don't have Cal Raleigh. We don't have Gabe Spire. We just got Victor Robles back. Now we still have some inconsistencies with Luis Castillo and Andres Munoz. At times, they look good, and in other moments, they look horrible, and we just have to hope, we get the better version, of each player. I got a little bit more confidence in Mooney than I do in Castillo. But again, if they're smart about it, sending him into the pen, or whether they want to double him up with Bryce Miller, that's fine, but he shouldn't be pitching any more than 2 innings. It should be a 1/2 inning, more, times than not. And then if he ends up striking out the side, maybe have him go 2 at the most. Anytime you go more than 2, that's when trouble typically happens. All right, Stephen Kolek warming up here on the mound. 4-seam fastball, sinker, cutter, changeup, slider, and sweeper. So he's got an arsenal of 6 pitches. We got to be, obviously, with our head on a swivel. And even though J.P. Crawford doesn't have the best batting average overall, just hovering a little bit over 200 at 204, believe it or not, he's 3rd on the team with home runs. So again, even though he's a guy that has maybe taken a step back at shortstop defensively, again, is willing to move to 3rd if needed to platoon with Brendan Donovan and others if they want to put Colt as the everyday shortstop. Definitely a team player, wants to be able to win a World Series with Seattle. It's really going to come down to the money, obviously, as we go into next year. And again, we can hopefully try to get this dub here with George Kirby, because we got swept by Kansas City earlier in the year, and nothing would make the fan base happier than getting a sweep right back and, giving a little bit of payback to this Kansas City Royal team. And we got Kirby on the mound today, Wu on the mound tomorrow, and again, we got the dub yesterday, there with Logan Gilbert. So again, we feel very confident that we can get the job done here today. Trident's up. Let's go M's. All right, here we go. J.P. Crawford in the box. First pitch to J.P. Little slow dribbler towards first on the first pitch right down the middle. Toe tap on the bag by Vinny Pasquantino, and that is 1 away. Make sure you work the count, J.P. We need you. Batting second, center fielder, it's J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. And we definitely seen a newer version, of Julio this season in, obviously, season number 5. Just great to be able to see a player, that had issues, in the box, and definitely starting to figure it out, in year number 5. Now, and again, sometimes you're going to be able to get, that first pitch right down the middle for a single, double, or a home run, but other times you're going to, dribble out or pop up. So 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss there by Julio. No balls and 2 strikes from Kolek to Rodriguez. Global broadcast on FS1 if you want to watch along. 0-2 pitch to Rodriguez. Julio. Shallow left field. And that is 2 away. Michael Garcia making the play there at 3rd in foul territory. 2 up and 2 down. Next up in the 3-hole, welcome back to the roster after a day off yesterday. First baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. And obviously with a lineup like this, we would rather have this every day versus lefty and righty pitching. JP, Julio, Naylor, Randy, Luke Raley, Cole Young, Canzone, Pareda, or Garver until Cal comes back, and then Colt Emerson. Anytime you end up mixing in Ref Snyder and a few of those other lower, tier guys, sometimes things go sideways. First pitch in there to Naylor is a ball, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, another ball there to Josh Naylor. Good eyes there by Naylor. 2 pitches high and inside, and he does not bite. Two-0 pitch, takes a strike looking low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to Josh Naylor. 2-1 pitch, popped up into right field, and that is 3 up and 3 down. Good start there for Kolek. Can't get anything going early here with the Mariners, but we got plenty of time to get that ship turned around. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Let's go to the bottom of the first inning and see who's up next year for the Royals. Leading off for the Royals at third base, Michael Garcia. Batting second at shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. And batting third, first baseman Vinny Pasquantino. And on the mound for the Mariners, our top dog based off record and ERA, 5-3 record, ERA of 3.45. It is our guy, Furious George Kirby. Tridents up. Let's go, M's. 50th anniversary for the Seattle Mariners this year, which the Seahawks obviously had their 50th last year, and we know what happened with them. Rick Riz, 40-plus years on the radio, is retiring after the season, so every single game here on the channel will be dedicated to Rick Riz, as well as Dave Niehaus in baseball heaven. Let's win it for Riz. You are a legend and an icon, and we love you. Tridents up. Let's go, M's. 17 subs away from 24,100 over this Memorial Day weekend. And let's see where we're at on the likes as we try to get to 100 and beyond on every single stream. All right, looks like we're at 15. 85 to go. Sean in the building, what's good? Appreciate all the love and the support. You know, it's great to be able to have things in common with the fans in the room, not only with the Mariners and baseball, but with our love for pups as well. Sean in the building, how are you? Xavier says, hey, I'm going to get it started for you guys. $5 holla. Thank you so much for getting us started on a good note. Xavier with a $5. 95 to go to hit our dono goal. Appreciate you. First pitch from George Kirby to Michael Garcia, low and away with a sinker, 98 miles an hour there by Furious George, 1-0 count. And again, global broadcast on FS1 today, not on Apple TV or Mariners TV. So again, if you are looking for the game, that is where it's at. 0-1 pitch and a little dribbler that goes to Randy, and we know what happens that, goes all the way to the wall. Julio finally picks it up, and that ends up being a stand-up double for Michael Garcia. Not exactly what we want to see out of George Kirby with his first batter. Nice base knock there by Garcia, but hopefully we can keep him on the bases stranded. Next up is Bobby Witt Jr. On deck is Vinny Pasquantino. We got Kirby on the mound today. Gilbert with the win yesterday. Obviously 2-0 victory. And we got Brian Wu on the mound tomorrow with a early morning start at 11:10 Pacific. So, they swept us earlier in the year. And again, if we can get the dub here today, we should have a really good chance to do it with Wu tomorrow. First pitch to Witt. Big sweeper, low and away. Big swing and a miss there by Bobby Witt Jr., 0-1 count. 294 average, 7 homers, 23 ribbies. Witt is the, top dog, as far as shortstops, definitely one of the best in the game, if not the best. Little slow dribbler at third, throw to first, not in time. And now we have runners on the corners at first and third with no outs. Come on, George. And we got to have the defense help him out as well. Next up, first baseman Vinny Pasquantino. And again, if George gives up a run or two, that's fine, but we can't have him give up more than 3 runs. 3 is the max, and we have to shoot for 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits ourselves. But we know that, obviously hitting has been a challenge, regardless if we have our strong lefty lineup like today or our weaker righty lineup like we had yesterday. Little dribbler up the middle, get the double play, and only the force out at second, and he dropped the ball. Come on, JP. And the run scores, and we have no outs. Unbelievable. Come on, JP. And again, Emerson, we're trying to be able to get these plays happening, and Cole flips it to JP. JP drops the ball. Let's see if the flip was actually clean or not. And JP tries to collect it with his bare hand, not the glove, and drops it. And obviously could have been a little bit better of a, flip from Young, but still, should have brought that glove up rather than trying to catch it barehanded, drops it. Throw to third. And Witt steals third. Man, this is not a good start here for the Mariners. It's already 1-0. We have no outs. The defense already fumbling the bag early, and George looking shaky early on. And again, not that we can't come back from this. We can definitely come back, but, you don't want to be down 2-3-4-0 in the first inning, if possible, especially with our, one of our top dogs on the mound. But so hopefully we can end up getting it out at some point or another here. Next up is Salvador Perez with runners at second and third and no outs. First pitch, takes a strike looking high and inside with a sweeper. 88 miles an hour, 0-1 count. One pitch, little dribbler up the middle. Can we get an out? There we go. Finally, a little dribbler up the middle. Nice throw to Naylor. And finally, we get Salvador Perez out, and the runners stay at second and third with no attempt to come home. And that is one away. And again, we have to limit the damage here. So hopefully, it ends up being 1-0 and at the very worst 2-0. And hopefully the offense, since we have our strong lefty lineup in today, hopefully we'll be able to respond immediately in the bottom of the first inning. But definitely a shaky start here early for the defense and for George Kirby. First pitch to Carter Jensen. Big swing and a miss, high and inside, 0-1 count. A little bit of both. As I'm watching the game, the throw from Cole could have been a little bit better. He was on the run, but then JP, tried to catch it barehanded instead of, getting it with his glove. And it kind of, was flipped into his midsection, but again, you have to use your glove. You can't just, try to barehand things. And especially when things are coming at you so fast. So I don't know, a little bit of, an issue for both guys there. Could have been a cleaner drop off. And JP could have brought his mid up. Little dribbler here towards first. Naylor toe tap on the bag. And that is 2 away. But another run comes home from third. Bobby Witt Jr. 2-0 Royals. There is no, timetable on the injury report through, Mariners.com just yet. So, obviously we'll have to kind of wait and see. With Vargas, May 23rd, Spire, May 24th, Masterboni, May 24th, and these are tentative dates. And then Donovan, June 5th, but they don't even have Cal on there. So, could be a little ways away between now and, I know in a report that I did read that potentially he could come back within a week a couple days ago, but I'm not sure if that's changed from this morning, obviously moving forward. So hopefully Cal will be back in a week or two. We definitely could use him if he can get going. Next up is Jack Caglione. First pitch, big swing and a miss on the knuckle curve, low and away. And an 0-1 pitch gets past Cole Young. And another run is trying to come home. Decent throw home, but not in time. And another run comes sliding home, feet first. And Jack Caglione with an RBI single, 3-0 Royals. And again, this is one of the worst starts, for George Kirby this season. Obviously, the defense hasn't really helped out either. But again, Kirby looking shaky early. And again, anytime we get down 3-0, we expect, that to be Luis Castillo, and maybe Logan Gilbert at the beginning of the year, but definitely not George Kirby, Wu or Hancock or Miller. But this is the position that we're in here, unfortunately. First pitch to Collins, takes a strike looking high and away with the knuckle curve, 0-1 count. And things are going bad here early when, they're on their 7th hitter already, in the bottom of the first inning. Not ideal. 0-1 pitch, high and away, cutter 94 miles an hour there by George Kirby. But again, if this is the only 3 runs that he gives up and he settles down for the rest of the, his outing, for another 3, 4, 5 innings, we'll be fine. We'll be able, but again, if he gives up any more than this, again, unless the offense can end up doing the same, we're in trouble. Throw to second and safe. These guys are stealing bags left and right. We had a little miscue there with Young and JP. And again, George Kirby not looking good here early. And that's something that's not said often, in a game. One pitch. Takes a strike looking. Low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike. From Kirby to Collins. 2-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. on the 2-2 pitch, and that is strike 3. Finally, end of the first inning, not ideal. And, I still think that we can come back in this game. There's no doubt about that. It's just about getting the offense going early and often. And again, if we can put up a run, within the, first couple innings, that'll definitely stop the bleeding, so to speak. And again, these guys are human. Not every, starting pitcher for our squad is going to be lights out on every start. And sometimes you got to give credit to the opposing team. And the Royals don't have a good record, but they do have good players on the team. And, we definitely struggle against the Royals and the Athletics, as well as the Angels, maybe teams that are, maybe we take for granted a little bit, but whenever we play these teams, they usually give us their World Series effort. And a lot of times we only end up winning a game, sometimes none, in a series. So again, they swept us early on, and we won yesterday 2-0, but again, didn't get a whole lot of run support besides that Mitch Garver 2-run jack. And hopefully we'll be able to get it going here in the bottom of the first inning. Next up for the Mariners here in the top of the second inning, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Batting second in the 5-hole, right fielder Luke Raley. And batting third in the 6-hole, second baseman Cole Young. And we're very home run dependent, so hopefully we'll get a few home runs, here today. And we'll be able to get a few back-to-back hits for a couple RBI opportunities as well. Try to end up. Let's go, M's. We're at 5 on the dono train, 95 to go. 17 subs away from 24,100. And shout out to all the individuals watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. Appreciate you. And we're at 25 likes, 75 more to hit our first goal. First pitch to Randy. Takes a strike looking. Right down the middle, 93-mile-an-hour sinker. 0-1 count. One pitch. Popped up into shallow right field. And nice catch there by Jack Caglione. And that is 1 away. Next up for the Mariners in the 5-hole, right fielder Luke Raley. On deck is Cole Young. And on the mound for the Royals, 2-0 record, ERA of 4.24, Stephen Kolek. So even though he has a 2-0 record, ERA above 4. So we should be able to do a little bit of damage before he exits. And hopefully we can get this game tied sooner than later. Let's go, Luke. Leading the team with 10 home runs. Should be an everyday player, regardless if it's left-hand or right-handed pitching. And hopefully Dan Wilson recognizes that, because every game that we play without Raley, having 4 or 5 at-bats is definitely doing the Mariners a disservice. 0-1 pitch. High and away. Sweeper, 79 miles an hour there by Kolek. 1 ball and 1 strike to Luke Raley. Steven in the building. What's good? 1-1 pitch, little dribbler. Throw to first. Ooh, that's close. I don't think they're going to challenge that. Good hustle there by Luke Raley. They are challenging. Okay, so it looks like Luke might have been able to be safe. It was a pretty aggressive out call by the first base ump, but Raley is going to hustle, more than any player on the Mariners, whether it's on offense or defense. And let's look again here. Ooh, it looks like he's safe. Looks like he got the foot down on the bag before the ball actually gets into the back of the mitt. So this should be overturned, and we should have Luke Raley being safe. And these are the things that we want Randy and others, to do, because you just never know. Your hustle, could end up starting a rally for that next guy, instead of it just being, 2 up and 2 down. You need guys to hustle. And, that's one thing I really appreciate about Luke, regardless if he's at 10 home runs right now or 0. All right, we do win the challenge. And that was great hustle there by Luke Raley, and again, hopefully other players, can kind of take notice, especially guys like Randy. If you hustle all the time, good things happen. It's good karma. Nice job there by Luke running out that little bloop single up the middle. Most guys would not have been able to do that. Next up is Cole Clutch Young. Luke Raley at first with 1 out. First pitch to Cole Young, right down the middle, four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour for a strike, 0-1 count. 239 average, 3 homers, 26 ribbies. Young is definitely overdue for a home run. And again, hopefully we'll be able to get an RBI, situation from him before this one is over as well. Change up, low and away, 87 miles an hour missing. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kolek to Young. Global broadcast here on FS1 if you want to watch along. And again, we got ourselves in a little bit of a hole here early with George Kirby. But again, I still think we can come back and win. 1-1 pitch. And Young with a line drive into the gap. Run, Raley, run! And Raley sprinting to third. Great job. And just like that, we got runners first and third, just like the Royals did in the top of the first inning and the bottom of the first. I see you. So bottom of the first inning, Royals end up doing the damage, and in the top of the second, we're doing the same. Here we go. Nice job there by Luke Raley, hustling to first base and being safe with the challenge, and Cole Young with a beautiful single up the middle. Now we got runners on the corners at first and third for our guy, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. He's definitely due for a home run as well. First pitch is a cutter, 90 miles an hour, low and at the knees, 1-0 count. Let's go, Dom. 1-0 pitch. Takes a strike looking on the corner, low and away. Change up 86 miles an hour by Stephen Kolek. Runners at first and third with 1 out. And again, even if we just get 1 run, to stop the bleeding so that way it doesn't look so bad with a 0 on the scoreboard, we'll be on our way. But again, if we can get 2 or 3 or more, we'll take it. Line drive. Uh-oh. And this looks like it might be a double play. And Luke Raley gets caught in between the base pass on a line drive. And unfortunately, we get nothing. Wow. Sometimes, teams get lucky like that where you get the line drive and, Raley was trying to come home, got in between the base paths and couldn't get back to third in time. And a big double play there from Dominic Canzone. And again, 1 would have been great, but I guess a little bad luck for us there in the top of the second inning. All right, let's go to the bottom of the second and see who's up next here for the Royals. And hopefully George Kirby doesn't give up any more runs the rest of the way. Next up in the 8-hole, second baseman Michael Massey. Batting second in the 9-hole, center fielder Kyle Isbell. And batting third, back at the top of the order, 1 for 1 with a run, third baseman Michael Garcia. And again, it's not only, George Kirby. You have to remember, it's also going to be on Johnny Pareda and Mitch Garver, for them calling the game and calling the pitches. And obviously, we know Cal Raleigh is much better at calling the game than Pareda and Garver. And obviously, Garver is quite a bit better than Pareda. We know that Garver and Pareda can throw guys out, from the knees at first and second and third. But, calling a game is just as important, as the pitcher, getting his spots and getting into a groove early in a matchup. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 17 subs away from 24,100. We're at 5 on the dono train. 95 to go. And let's see where we're at on the likes as we approach the bottom of the second inning. All right, we're at 30. 70 to go. Joe in the building. What's good? Pasquantino grounded out to a fielder's choice to second. Garcia scored on the error, 1-0 Kansas City. Jensen grounded out to first. Bobby Witt Jr. scored from third, 2-0 Royals. And then Caglione singled to right. Pasquantino scored from third, 3-0. So again, 3 runs off 3 hits and a little bit of a miscue there by Cole Young and JP Crawford when we tried to get the fielder's choice and couldn't even get that. So definitely dug ourselves into a little bit of a hole. But again, not anything that we can't come back from. as long as it stays within, 4 or 5 runs or less. Once it gets above 5, then it gets really, really tough. But hopefully we'll keep it at 3 or less, and it'll give us a chance. 0-1 pitch, takes a strike looking right down the middle. No balls and 2 strikes to Michael Massey. 0-2 pitch, low and at the knees. It gets away from Pareda and goes back to the Planet Fitness sign there at the backstop. Sweeper 88 miles an hour by George. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the second inning, 3-0 Kansas City. 1-2 pitch. Fouled off towards first base, out of play. Knuckle curve, 84 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Michael Massey. George Kirby on the mound. Michael Massey in the box. One-two pitch. Popped up. Into left field, fading out of play. 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour by Kirby. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the second inning, 3-0 Kansas City. Come on, George, settle down and settle in. And right now, you got the Rays, the Yankees, and the Guardians that are in firm control of the AL. And a diving attempt there by Cole Young, but couldn't get there in time. And, I don't want to say Young has been out of position, a couple times today. But again, there's just been a few, balls that have gotten just out of reach. A little bit of bad luck, and again, it's, just been one of those games here early on. Next up is Kyle Isbell, especially when you end up, playing, a certain type of position, like second base. You got a lot of, ground to cover. Same thing at third base and shortstop. You got to be able to time it just right. First pitch is high and away to Kyle Isbell, 4-seam fastball, 98 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Bottom of the second inning, runner at first with no outs. 3-0 Kansas City lead with Kirby looking a little shaky early, but hopefully he'll settle down and settle in. And we're going to definitely need the bats to come alive to win this game. 1-0 pitch. Right down the middle for a strike. Knuckle curve, 84 miles an hour there by Kirby. 1 ball, 1 strike to Kyle Isbell. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Rebecca in the building, how are you? Shout out to our female audience, as well as everyone watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and beyond. Pitch fouled off with the knuckle curve, 84 miles an hour there by Kirby. Out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at first and no outs. 3-0 Kansas City on a global broadcast here on FS1. 1-2 pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour there by Kirby missing. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Isbell. And, we know it may take a little while for Cal to kind of get going once he comes back offensively. But I think that, the pitchers are going to be doing a hell of a lot better, when Cal does come back calling a game. Double play, throw to first, got him, let's go. Big double play there for the Mariners. Anytime you can end up making the play, Emerson to JP or Cole Young and then throwing it to Naylor, we'll take anything that we can get. Big double play there. And that is 2 away. Next up is Michael Garcia. First pitch, low and at the knees, 1-0 count with the sweeper, 87 miles an hour, low and away. And again, we're going to probably need a couple double plays, but that's one. But we're probably going to need a couple, to help Kirby out if he's going to be a little off in his game here today. But also, on the flip side, you got to give credit to the Royal hitters. They know how to approach, the Mariners. If anything, they, are, kind of that thorn in our side. Same thing with the Angels and the A's. I just feel like we kind of take them for granted. The Royals, the Angels, and the A's, and a lot of times they kick our ass. Just plain and simple. Throw to first. and that is out number 3 with the toe tap on the bag there by Josh Naylor. And again, much better, in the second inning. At least it's not 6-0 right now. But again, we just need the offense to get going. And if it wasn't for an unlucky double play with a line drive and Rayleigh getting caught in between third and home, it probably would be 3-1 right now. So again, we just got to be able to stay confident and get off that scoreboard donut and get to 1 as soon as possible. See if we can get it done here in the top of the third inning. Only 1.5 back. And again, the American League stinks, so that's good for the Mariners with all the injuries and poor play. We're still going to be in the mix of things all year round, and again, it'll be a battle between the Rangers, the A's, and the Mariners for the top spot. And 2 of those 3 teams will make the playoffs. 1 will not, more than likely. And again, the Guardians and the Yankees and the Rays are the cream of the crop in the American League, just like the Dodgers, the Padres, the Braves, and everyone in the National League Central. And again, we can find a way. We just got to take it 1 game at a time. Next up for the Mariners in the 8-hole, catching Johnny Pareda. Batting second in the 9-hole, third baseman Colt Emerson. And batting third, 0-for-1, shortstop J.P. Crawford. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. All right, we're at 34 likes, 66 to 100. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Stephen Kolek on the mound. Johnny Pareda in the box. Pareda shows bunt, but pulls back at the last minute with that 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour, 1-0 count. And anything that we can get out of Pareda, obviously he's the weakest link in the lineup since we don't, have access to Cal Raleigh, and Garver ended up catching yesterday. But again, Cal ended up, going on a big slump, got a couple hits, and then went to the IL. And then we saw Garver, not really normally a home run hitter, but got a hold of one last night and was the hero helping us win 2-0. So you never know. Sometimes the lower end guys can be heroes as well. 1-1 pitch, high and away. Sinker, 93 miles an hour by Stephen Kolek. 2 balls and 1 strike to Johnny Pareda. Top of the third inning, 3-0 Royals. And hopefully we'll be able to get on the scoreboard and get at least 1 this inning. 2-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, high and inside. Beautiful sinker there by Kolek, trying to jam Pareda, and did. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the third inning, 3-0 Kansas City on a global broadcast here on FS1 if you want to watch along. 2-2 pitch, low and away. Good eye there by Pareda. Slider 84 miles an hour, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Johnny Pareda. Even if Johnny gets only 1 hit and gets like a walk, that's going to be a huge success. We just don't want him to go 0-for-4 or 0-for-5 if possible. 3-2 pitch, popped up to center field. Carlos Bella's there, and that is 1 away. Down goes Johnny. 1 up and 1 down. Next up for the Mariners, third baseman phenom, Colt Emerson. Let's go, Colt. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. First pitch, 4-seam fastball, high and away, but in the zone. 0-1 count. Paints that corner beautifully by Stephen Kolek. Come on, Colt. 0-1 pitch, high and inside. Good eye there by Emerson. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike to Colt Emerson. 3-run home run in his first MLB hit on May 17th, and we're definitely looking for Colt to help us get some runs. Little dribbler up the middle, throw to first, and just in time, 2 up and 2 down. What a great play there by Bobby Witt Jr. There's a reason why, he'll end up more than likely being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Great at offense, great at defense, and is exactly what you would want out of a shortstop if you had him available to add to your favorite team. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 1, J.P. Crawford. First pitch, takes a strike looking low and away. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour there by Stephen Kolek. 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, hard hit ball, little line drive, throw back to the pitcher, and that is 3 up and 3 down. Mariners aren't able to get it going just yet, but again, at least we got a couple hits, even though we do have an error already. All right, let's go to the bottom of the third inning and see who's up next here for the Royals. Next up for the Royals, in the 2-hole, shortstop 1 for 1 with a run, Bobby Witt Jr. Batting second, 0 for 1 with a run and an RBI, first baseman Vinny Pasquantino. And batting third, 0 for 1, DHing today in the cleanup spot, Salvador Perez. They have a good chance of getting 2 Hall of Famers in Perez and Witt. Even though their record may not be great, again, this is always a team that gives us problems every single year. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 50th anniversary for the Mariners, 40-plus years on the radio. Riz is retiring after this season from the radio booth. An icon, a legend, and we dedicate every game this season to our guy, Rick Riz. We love you. Yeah, Ref Snyder is not coming in. He'll only come in during left-handed pitching, so. Ox in the building. What's good, brother? So a little bit of a shaky start, Hawks. Kirby did not look good in the first inning, and we had an error with a handoff from Young to JP, which normally works out beautifully, but Pasquantino grounded out to a fielder's choice. Garcia scored off the error, 1-0. Jensen grounded out to first. Witt scored from third, 2-0. And then Caglione singled to right. Pasquantino scored 3-0. And then we had runners at first and third. Rayleigh ended up running out a little slow dribbler, and we challenged it and won. And then Cole Young ended up getting a beautiful single, so we had runners at first and third. But unfortunately, we ended up hitting into a double play, and we didn't get anything in that particular inning. But I still think that we have a good chance to come back in this game, but we definitely need to get off the schneid, get off the 0 as soon as possible. First pitch is high and inside to Bobby Witt Jr., 1-0 count. Sweeper, 86 miles an hour there by Kirby. Natman in the building, what's good? Man, tough times in the NASCAR world with Greg Biffle, passing away and that plane crash with his wife and kids, and then obviously with the pneumonia and sepsis there for Kyle Busch. Has the same birthday as me, and only 41 years old. Very sad, and again, I feel really sad for his son, Brexton, who just had a birthday 3 days ago. Only 11 years old. I feel really bad for, obviously, the wife and the kids, and again, prayers up to the Busch family. 2-0 pitch, fouled off, out of play. Four-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour there by Kirby. 2 balls and 1 strike to Bobby Witt Jr. 2-1 pitch, and a little dribbler in front of Julio off of 1 hopper. And Bobby Witt Jr. is staying hot, 2 for 2 today. Very similar to Julio yesterday, who started off 2 for 2 as well. Next up is Vinny Pasquantino. Come on, George. We need you to be good here. You've already given up 3 runs. And we got our strong lineup in today. It's like, go figure. We actually have one of our top pitchers on the mound. We have a great lineup except for Pareda, and we give up 3 runs. I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and then other times when we have a terrible lineup, maybe we don't score a whole lot, but we were able to get the Mitch Garver 2-run jack, and we won 2-0 yesterday. So, this team is very hard to figure out, on a day in, day out basis. You just really don't know, what's going to happen. Is it going to end up being a low scoring affair? Is it a pitching duel? Is it going to be one of those, crazy games where it's going to be a 9-8 final? You just don't really know from, one game to the next. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike from Kirby to Pasquantino. But I do know when Cal comes back, it may take him a little time to get going offensively, but he'll definitely be like that second manager on the field, and he'll be able to call better games than Pareda and Garver, and that'll help us get more wins when he is healthy, hopefully in a week or less. But as long as he doesn't have any setbacks. Throw to first, and he is safe. George Kirby on the mound. 5-3 record, coming in with an ERA of 3.45, and Vinny Pasquantino in the box. 2-1 pitch, low and at the knees with the sweeper, missing, 88 miles an hour. 3 balls and 1 strike to Vinny Pasquantino. Trident's up, let's go M's. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Bottom of the 3rd inning, runner at first with no outs, 3-0 Royals. And again, as long as we don't get down by more than 5, 5 is usually the max for the Mariners in 2026. If we get down by 5, that's usually, the most that we can get back from at that point. And another single right in front of Julio there from Vinny Pasquantino. And whatever, strategy Pareda and Kirby have right now, it's not working. And Kirby is getting roughed up here early. And again, George, with our best record and one of our best ERAs out of our starters, we got Brian Wu on the mound tomorrow. But I did not anticipate George getting roughed up like this. Nice base knock there out of Vinny Pasquantino. But again, this team has our number, just like the Athletics and the Angels. It's never easy when we play the Royals, the Athletics, or the Angels, regardless if they have a good record or a terrible record. Next up is Salvador Perez. First pitch, big swing and a miss, 0-1 count. 0 for 1 with a ground out in the first, only batting .205, 8 home runs and 21 ribbies. But again, everyone is struggling in the American League unless you're the Guardians, the Rays, or the Yankees. And again, the next tier after that should be the Mariners, the Athletics, and the Rangers. 0-1 pitch, little blooper into right field. Luke Raley is there. Runner tags up. And now we have runners on the corners at first and third. All right, Perez pops up with the sac fly there. Next up is Carter Jensen, and hopefully we can get a double play again. Slow dribbler up the middle, keep that runner stranded at third, and we can get out of this inning with only a 3-0 deficit. Chris in the building, what's good? I know there's a lot of factors, home or away, the teams that we're playing, who's catching, and calling the game. And obviously we know Pareda is not going to be as good as Garver, and Garver's not going to be as good as Cal, so there's a number of factors. And again, if the pitching is going to be a little sideways, then what does that mean? That the hitting, it needs to, obviously, do their job and some to make up for it. And hopefully they will. And we can still pray for a meltdown by, a Royal pitcher, after the starter goes out, maybe even 2. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kirby to Jensen. Yeah, but we got a lefty lineup today. The only weak link is Pareda. So we have better opportunities, with the batters that we have in the box, from today compared to yesterday. 1-1 pitch, popped up. Randy is there. Throw, Randy! And Randy's throw at home, not in time. And another runner comes home safe, 4-0 Kansas City. And again, these are the things, with Randy, again, he's good at pop-ups, but he doesn't have a very accurate throw, into the infield. A lot of times it's a lob. Obviously, he can't lob it there when they're coming home from third, but, ground balls and, we need accurate throws, to come home. And it just seems like nobody can make an accurate throw from the outfield, to the catcher. Next up is Jack Caglione. We do got Brian Wu on the mound tomorrow. So, if we drop this game, we can still win the series. But again, it's not over yet. I still got faith in the, strong lefty lineup that, we can end up, hopefully, cutting into the lead slowly but surely. But obviously, when you get down 4-0, not a great feeling. First pitch, takes a strike looking right down the middle, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees with a knuckle curve, 84 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike to Jack Caglione. And that's why this Mariner team is, hard to figure out from one game to the next. It's like, we barely win with Logan Gilbert on the mound because of Mitch Garver. Then you got Kirby on the mound with a great lefty lineup. And, you think that, it's going to be the opposite. Maybe we're up 4-0, but, this team definitely gives us problems more times than not. Pitch fouled off towards first base, out of play. But I am happy that we got Woo tomorrow. And we'll find out what we have for a lineup. And hopefully it'll be a decent one for Woo. Bottom of the third inning, runner at first with 2 outs, 4-0 Royals. 1-2 pitch. Low and away, and Pareda is challenging. And this should be strike 3. But again, the ump is not really giving us anything early on here. And Mariners challenge. Good challenge there by Pareda, and that is strike 3. See ya, Jack Caglione. Great challenge there by Johnny Pareda. All right, end of the third inning. We're down by 4. But again, if we can just get to 1 or 2, within the next 3 innings, and we can be, down by 2 late, if that's what happens, we'll still have a chance. We just have to cut into the lead. And let's see if we got the right people involved here to get it done. Go to the top of the 4th inning. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 1 center fielder Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, J-Rod. Batting second in the 3-hole, first baseman. Welcome back to the lineup after your day off yesterday. Nails, Josh Naylor. Let's go. And batting third, 0 for 1, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Definitely 3 capable hitters that could get us on the board. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 17 subs away from 24,100. We're at 5 on the Dono train. 95 to go. And let's see where we're at on the likes on this Memorial Day weekend. And we're at 45. 55 to 100. All right, Kirby's numbers so far: 3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 2 Ks, 50 pitches, 34 strikes, 3.70 ERA. Well, coming into the game, 5-3 record with an ERA of 3.45. So definitely one of the worst starts this year for George, unfortunately. And then with Kolek, 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, no walks, no Ks, 31 pitches, 21 strikes with a 3.60 ERA, and came into the matchup with a 2-0 record. But his ERA is 4.24. So there should be some wiggle room where we might not be able to get 4 runs on him, but we should be able to get 1 or 2 before he exits in a couple innings. And then again, if we can be down by 2, and then they bring in, a guy from the bullpen that might be a little shaky, we might be able to catch up in this game. But we just got to get that first home run or that first RBI, to get off the donut on the screen, the 0. First pitch into Julio, high and inside, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, little slow dribbler towards third base and foul. 1 ball and 1 strike to Julio Rodriguez. Stephen Kolek on the mound. Julio Rodriguez in the box. Let's go, J-Rod. 1-1 pitch. Little dribbler up the middle. Witt. Throw to first, and that is 1 away. And that's kind of the problem with slow dribblers in between second and third. Bobby Witt Jr. is such an incredible defensive athlete that if you hit it in his area, more times than not, you're not getting a hit unless you're able to hustle it out like Luke Raley did. Down goes Julio, and that is 1 away. Next up is first baseman Josh Naylor. Let's go, Nails. Somebody's got to start a rally for us. First pitch, low and away with a sweeper, 79 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Top of the 4th inning, 4-0 Kansas City. Kolek on the mound, Naylor in the box. And again, we just have to have that blind faith, and we have to chip away. 1-0 pitch, popped up, and do shallow center field. Should be a routine play here for Kansas City. Isbell is there, and that is 2 up and 2 down. Next up in the 4-hole, left fielder, Randy Arozarena. Come on, Randy. And again, we're very home run dependent, the most home run dependent team in the MLB. So, sometimes, you just got to get that first, solo dinger. Again, 2-run jacks, 3-run jams, and obviously grand salamis are great. But, sometimes just getting that home run can get the team going. First pitch with the four-seam fastball, big swing and a miss there by Randy, 0-1 count. 93 miles an hour there by Kolek. And Randy has been one of the more consistent hitters, on the Mariners from the beginning of the season till now. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike to Randy Arozarena. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. We got a battle. I mean, it seems like every game that we play in is a war and a battle. It's never easy. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Randy Arozarena. And then tomorrow's game will be on at 11:10 a.m. Pacific time, so a little bit early, but we do got Brian Wu tomorrow. 1-2 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Kolek to Arozarena. Top of the 4th inning, 4-0 Kansas City. 2-2 pitch from Kolek, and Randy pops it up. Should be another routine play here for the Royals. And that is out number 3. 3 up and 3 down. Even with the strong lineup, we haven't been able to get going just yet. And let's go to the bottom of the 4th inning and see who's up next here for the Royals. And again, we might just have to wait until Kolek exits, and hopefully we get a meltdown or 2 from the pen. Baseball is hard. Next up for the Royals, 0-for-1 with a K, left fielder Isaac Collins. Batting second in the 8-hole, second baseman, 1-for-1, Michael Massey. And batting third in the 9-hole, center fielder, 0-for-1, Kyle Isbell. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. $17 subs to go. Do 24,100. We're at 5 on the Dono train. 95 to go. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. And let's see where we're at on the likes. We're at 48. 52 to go. Yeah, I agree, Chris. We need to be able to, kind of change the strategy, from each at bat. Instead of trying to swing for home runs for most of the team, you got to be able to set yourself up, and, maybe change the swing from, a home run type of swing to just like a single, swing, like a contact swing. And if we can actually change a few of these guys, to modify their swings, Julio, Naylor, Randy, for example, maybe better things could happen. And obviously we have everyone in the lineup that, could hit a home run, probably besides Johnny Pareda, but again, JP is third in the team in home runs, believe it or not. But again, more times than not, he'll have more of a single swing like Cole Young, as well as Colt Emerson. Not to say that they can't homer, but, again, hopefully we can get it going with Rayleigh and Dom finally in the lineup. We need them to produce. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Kirby on the mound, Isaac Collins in the box. First pitch from Kirby to Collins, low and at the knees. Four-seam fastball hitting the corner, but not in the strike zone due to the ump not giving us the calls. Could be challenged, and we probably would win that, but no challenge here from Pareda. 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking high and away. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Kirby. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. 4-0 Royals in the bottom of the 4th. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 1-1 pitch, high and inside with a cutter. 93 miles an hour there by George. 2 balls and 1 strike to Isaac Collins. And again, I wouldn't mind seeing someone drop a bunt down, and try to, just kind of play a little small ball. You got to mix things up. Little dribbler, throw to first. Nice throw from Young to Josh Naylor. 1 up and 1 down. Good defense there by Cole Young. Down goes Isaac Collins, and that is 1 away. Next up in the 8-hole, second baseman Michael Massey. On deck will be center fielder in the 9-hole, Kyle Isbell. First pitch to Massey, fouls that one off, out of play. Four-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Global broadcast here on FS1. And it just seems like lately when we've been on a global broadcast, we haven't really played our, best foot forward, like 2 of those 3 games against the Padres recently. Kirby almost hits Massey, but it ends up hitting the bat instead, thankfully. Cutter 92 miles an hour off the deflection. No balls and 2 strikes to Michael Massey. Oh, 2 pitch from Kirby. Little dribbler up the middle. Young is there. Throw to Naylor again, and that is 2 up and 2 down. Good defense there again by Cole Young. Down goes Massey with a little slow dribbler to Young. 2 up and 2 down. Next up is Kyle Isbell. Come on, George. Can't give up any more runs. First pitch, big swing and a miss there by Isbell. Sinker, 95 miles an hour, right down the middle with some high heat, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and away. Knuckle curve missing there, 83 miles an hour by Kirby. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kirby to Isbell. Try dance up, let's go M's. And again, no matter how much we get down by, as long as it's 5 runs or less, we're going to have a chance. But once it goes above 5, then it gets very, very difficult. And hopefully it doesn't get to 5 before we get our first run. And hopefully we end up scoring here in the top of the 5th. 1-2 pitch to Kyle Isbell. Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Isbell. Yeah, again, and that's, essentially what Brandon Donovan would bring to the team. If you've noticed, when Donnie leads off and plays well, we win, and again, it starts off that momentum that feeds on to not only Julio, but Cal and Naylor and Randy after. And when we don't have that, obviously with like JP there, every once in a while, JP will make a big play, but, I think I would rather have Cole Young as Paisley decides to make an appearance here. She misses dad, but I think, having Cole Young as a leadoff hitter, I think would be better than having JP, but, JP is 3rd on the team in home runs, believe it or not, even though his batting average is around 200, So again, having a good leadoff hitter like an Ichiro type, and the closest thing that we've had to Ichiro is Brendan Donovan. Little dribbler to Cole Young again, 3 up and 3 down. 3 ground balls to Cole Young and 3 ground balls he throws to Naylor. And again, end of the 4th inning. We're down by 4, but that doesn't mean the game is over yet. All right, let's see if we can get on the board here in the top of the 5th. Next up for the Mariners, 1-for-1, right fielder Luke Raley. Batting second, 1-for-1, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. And batting third in the 7-hole, DHing the Italian Stallion, 0-for-1, Dominic Anzone. Try dance up, let's go M's. Lay down, honey. All right, we're at 51 likes, 49 to 100. So Kirby just had a bad first inning where he gave up 3 runs. Pasquantino grounded to a fielder's choice. Garcia scored on the error, 1-0. Jensen grounds out to first. Witt scored from third, 2-0. And then Caglione singled to right. Pasquantino scored 3-0. And then in the 3rd inning, Jensen hit a sac fly. Witt scored, from third. And we're down 4-0. So 4 runs, 6 hits. We have 0 runs, 2 hits, and an error. And a lot of that could have been prevented if we had a better handoff from Young to JP. And I wonder who they ended up giving that error to, if they ended up giving it to, JP or Young. But, definitely not ideal, of the start. But again, hopefully we'll be able to recover. Trident's up. Let's go M's. First pitch from Stephen Kolek to Luke Raley. Big swing and a miss. Change up. 86 miles an hour. 0-1 count. And hopefully we can get at least a run on Kolek before he exits, and then we're going to be on our way. And then we have to just pray that we can get a couple home runs on the bullpen or a couple RBIs and we can get back into this. And hopefully, we can be only down a run or two, by the 8th inning to actually give us a serious chance of, coming back, unless we are lucky enough to tie the game up at that point. 0-2 pitch. And Raley with a little blooper into left. Yes! And another hit there by Luke Raley. And it shows you Luke Raley leading the team with 10 home runs, right? He should be playing every day. Why are you treating him like he's, Rob Refsnyder or Connor Joe? You need to be treating him the same way as like a Naylor or a Julio or a Randy. Nice job there by Luke Raley, 2 for 2. Hopefully Dan Wilson will fucking learn. Next up, in the 6th hole, second baseman Cole Clutch Young, who already has a hit. Let's see if he can get another one here. Not having, a good version of Donnie and Cal is definitely hurting us, and hopefully when they both come back, they'll be able to stay injury-free for the most part and be able to get going, offensively and defensively. We need it. 0-1 pitch. Hard hit ball into left field, fading out of play. Four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour there by Stephen Kolek. No balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first, Luke Raley, who's 2 for 2 today with no outs. Got to score a run in this inning. Donnie was very good before he got hurt. And again, we miss his presence, not only at third base, but also in the box, more importantly. And when Donnie comes back, I assume that's when JP will get benched and it'll be Colt Emerson. And then he'll have to platoon with Donnie, at third base. And that will probably make the team better. We got to be able to, even though JP is third on the team in homers, but you want to be able to have your best players for the most part playing. And, hopefully they get smart enough to let Luke Raley play every day. If you're not going to do it for Canzone, fine. But Luke deserves to play every day. I've never seen a player lead a team in home runs and get treated like a scrub, 0-2 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. From Kolek to Young. And even if Luke, had 1 home run, I still would want him to play every day. But just a simple fact that he's leading the team with 10, shows you Dan is not very aware, of, situational awareness. He's thinking long-term, like he's thinking about the whole season instead of thinking about the game at hand, and you got to be able to manage every game, not, managing the season, when you end up coaching each game. Like, you can have a long-term look, but you have to look short-term as well. Pitch is low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Cole Clutch Young. Captain in the building. What's good? 2-2 pitch. Low and away, but Jensen is challenging. Let's see if this is strike 3 or not. And it is not. Woo, we got lucky there. Just underneath the strike zone. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Kolek to Young. And we could really use another hit here from Cole Young to get us going. Come on, Cole. 3-2 pitch. And Young with a little dribbler. Double play. Throw to third. Not in time. Fielder's choice. Raley is out at second, but Young safe at first. And that is 1 away. This would be a great time for a Dominic Canzone Italian Stallion home run to make it 4-2. Let's see if we can get a little bit of electricity here from Dom with a bomb. Let's go, Canzone. First pitch, big swing and a miss. 0-1 count. 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour right down the middle. Come on, Dom. We need you. With you and Luke not playing every day, again, we need you to be playing every day. 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Dominic Canzone. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 1-1 pitch from Kolek, high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to Dominic Canzone. And again, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be overly negative. I will always be optimistic, but I'll be real. If we're getting blasted 8-0, of course, it's going to be hard to come back. But again, the Mariners have proven when they get down by 4 or 5 runs, once in a while, they will come back. So, you have to kind of have that blind faith, even though things sometimes go sideways and go wrong. Popped up, and an easy play there in left field, and that is 2 away. Always got to keep that blind faith. Next up in the 8-hole, catcher Johnny Pareda. Top of the 5th inning, runner at first, Cole Young with 2 outs. First pitch right down the middle to Pareda, 0-1 count. I mean, if Johnny could end up hitting his second home run of the season, second in his career here with Seattle, and get us to 4-2, that would be huge. But again, he's the weak link in the lineup, but you just never know. 0-1 pitch. Another strike down the middle. Got to swing, Johnny. No balls and 2 strikes from Kolek to Pareda. Lauren in the building. Yep. Again, George Kirby is human. Defense was a little off early, and obviously the Royals are looking at payback from yesterday. 0-2 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Kolek to Pareda. But, when Kirby's on the mound, you don't expect to be down 4-0, and again, he's got a good record, the best, on the team up to this point. ERA, very good as well, but, Kansas City, for whatever reason, it's just Young ends up going to second, and he's trying to go to third, and an easy out there. I don't know what Cole was thinking. Why would you try to get to third base, off of that wild pitch? I think we're down and whatnot. And was Dan Wilson going to try to challenge? But that was not very smart. No challenge there. So again, when you get a ball that goes to the backstop, you go for 1 bag. Why was Cole going for 2? You're not going to go and get 2 unless it's really out of range, and they don't know where the ball is, But again, once they located the ball, yeah, you're going to go from first to second off the wild pitch. But how the hell are you going to go from first to third on just a normal wild pitch on the backstop? So I don't know what the hell is going on here, but I don't know if that was the third base coach, calling, Cole to come, to third base. But, it looks like everyone is having an off day here today, including our third base coach as well. Ridiculous. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 5th inning. And there's no guarantee Cole would have been able to come home at second, but we'll never know, after making a dumb decision like that. Let's go to the bottom of the 5th and see who's next up here for Kansas City. I guess when it rains, it pours for the Mariners. When things are going good, it's like we're on cloud 9. But when things are going bad, man, it goes sideways quick. Next up for the Royals, leadoff hitter, 1 for 2 with a run, third baseman Michael Garcia. Batting second, 2 for 2 with 2 runs, shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. And batting third, 1 for 2 with a run and an RBI, first baseman Vinny Pasquantino. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Got to find a way. I mean, I know, you're getting a little desperate, trying to be able to get a runner in scoring position, but second was fine. There was no reason for Young to try to go to third. Bad decision. All right, we're at 56 likes, like Captain mentioned. First pitch from Kirby to Michael Garcia, sweeper, 86 miles an hour. In there for a strike, 0-1 count. 1 for 2 with a double in the first inning. 0-1 pitch, and Pareda has a hard time catching that ball from Kirby. 1 ball and 1 strike to Michael Garcia. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. I mean, we can't get any down more than this. This is kind of like the cutoff. But again, as we know, all it takes is one bad pitcher to have one bad half inning, and we could end up scoring, 1 to 4 runs. So we just got to hope that Kirby doesn't give up any more, and eventually the bats get going. And we desperately need a home run. ABS challenge. And call is overturned from a ball to a strike. Good challenge there by Pareda again, winning another challenge. Obviously, this ump is definitely calling the game more leaning towards Kansas City. There's no doubt about that. Pitch is low and away, and that one gets away from Pareda. Come on, Johnny. Catch the damn ball. Two balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Michael Garcia. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Garcia. And a nice punch out there for George Kirby. 1 away. Only 2 Ks for Kirby. Kolek has 0. That's wild. And that's actually punch out number 3 for George. Next up is Bobby Witt Jr. First pitch to Bobby Witt Jr. in there for a strike, low and away. Sweeper, 87 miles an hour. On the line, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss on a 4-seam fastball, high and away. 96 miles an hour there by Furious George. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the 5th, we're down by 4, which seems terrible, but it could be worse. And we just have to get off 0 and just get to 1. Or 2, and then we'll be on our way. 0-2 pitch, low and away. 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour there by Kirby. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Bobby Witt Jr. One-two pitch, popped up. And out of play. The sad thing is, Jack, there's just not a lot of good managers in baseball. It's not the same like in the NFL, where they can just promote a coordinator, offense or defense, or get someone from college, that is a phenom, in that particular, league and whatnot, and then, make things happen. It's just kind of a revolving door of guys getting hired and fired. And Julio Rodriguez hustling to center field and getting that out on Bobby Witt Jr. No fly zone in full effect. And that is 2 up and 2 down. Nice job there by Julio Rodriguez in the no-fly zone. Next up is Vinny Pasquantino. But there's only 4 or 5 really good managers in baseball out of 30 teams. So when a guy gets fired, it just opens the door for someone else to get hired and fired. And again, a lot of the managers are very average or below average. Just because you were a former player, that almost is like the qualification, regardless if you were a good player, a bad player, smart, or not that bright. And Julio with nice hustle, getting that shallow fly ball by Vinny Pasquantino, and that is 3 up and 3 down. But the sad thing is, with all the frustration that we have with Dan Wilson, if you go back and, look at Scott Service, he was just as bad, maybe worse. And again, both of them are, very average to below average. They kind of just leave guys out there and hope they figure it out. You don't really get the, key decision making, when you really need it out of a good manager. You don't really get it from those 2 guys, and it shows. But again, there's just not a whole lot out there, to be able to, replace Dan at the moment. But maybe, down the road, there will be someone better. All right, end of the 5th inning, 4-0 Royals. Let's see if we can get on the fucking board already, huh? On this Memorial Day weekend, we got to get it going. Next up for the Mariners in the top of the 6th, 0 for 1. Third baseman, Colt Emerson. Let's go, Colt. We need something. Single, double, triple, home run, anything. Batting second, 0 for 2, leadoff hitter, shortstop, J.P. Crawford. And batting third, 0 for 2, center fielder, Julio Rodriguez. Even moving the batting order around, for me, I would have Young lead off while Donnie is hurt, and J.P., I'd have him batting 6th. I would flip-flop Young and J.P., but again, and I would flip-flop Matt Brash for Andres Munoz. And I know that Wilson won't do that either, even though Mooney got the job done yesterday. But again, for every one time that Mooney is good, he's got 4 or 5 outings that are horrible, and he ends up losing the game for us. So, hopefully Mooney can get a little bit more consistency moving forward, but I'm still a little optimistic with him. But at least Mooney's doing better than Castillo. So, end of the 5th inning, 4-0 Kansas City. Tridents up. Let's go M's. 17 subs away from 24,100. We're at 5 on the Dono train. 95 to go. Global broadcast here on FS1. And we're at 60 likes, 40 more to get to our goal. First pitch, inside, 1-0 count. Sinker at 91 miles an hour. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike to Johnny Pareda. Kolek on the mound, Pareda in the box. 1-1 pitch. No swing there from Pareda, almost falls down. Pretty close with that check swing, but they say he did not go around and almost fell down. 2 balls and 1 strike to Johnny Pareda. 2-1 pitch, popped up. Should be a routine play here for Kansas City. Pasquantino is there at first, and that is 1 away. Down goes Pareda, and that is 1 away. Next up in the 9-hole, third baseman Colt Emerson. Kolek on the mound, Emerson in the box. Come on, Colt. First pitch to Emerson, 4-seam fastball, high and away, 0-1 count. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with all the best beats on YouTube. 0-1 pitch, fouled off, out of play. No balls and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. Yeah, it's one thing to have talent, Jack, but you have to be, a good coach, a good manager, and again, there's only so many, in basketball, baseball, football, and hockey, and there definitely is a difference between, being a player's coach, and obviously it being kind of that disciplinary, kind of asshole, kind of mentality where, you listen to me and, kind of overly aggressive and a yeller, you got to have a good balance of a little bit of both. Little dribbler towards first, and he is, whoa, they called him out. I think he was safe. We might need to challenge this. And it feels like every ump is calling the game against us, and looks like he did not get there in time. Very close play at first, and that is 2 away. And it looks like he got the ball in the back of the glove just before the foot hit the bag, unfortunately, and that is 2 up and 2 down. Next up is J.P. Crawford. Come on, J.P. First pitch in there for a strike to J.P. 0-1 count. Longest tenured Mariner player, J.P. Crawford. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. Come on, J.P. One pitch in there for another strike from Kolek. 1 ball and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. We could really use one of these right now, J.P. Takes the strike looking down the middle on the 1-2 pitch. Little slow dribbler up the middle. Bobby Witt Jr. is there. Throw to Pasquantino, and that is out number 3. And again, every ball that goes to Bobby Witt Jr. gets gobbled up and is almost an instant out. And we've had quite a few go to Bobby Witt Jr.'s area here today. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 6th and see who's up next here for Kansas City. Not the game that I expected to be calling here today, but again, it's not over till it is over. Hopefully we get a meltdown by one of their guys in the pen once Kolek exits. Next up, for the Royals, 0 for 2, cleanup hitter, DHing Salvador Perez. Batting second in the 5-hole, 0 for 1 with 2 RBIs, catcher Carter Jensen. And batting third, 1 for 2 with an RBI and a K, right fielder Jack Caglione. All right, let's take a look at the pitcher stats here briefly. Kolek, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, no Ks, and he's only at 71 pitches. That's not good. 47 strikes, 3.13 ERA. So essentially, they could have Kolek go for another inning or two, which is not ideal for us if we want to try to come back in this game, unless we can rough him up. And then Kirby, 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 3 Ks, 74 pitches, 51 strikes with a 3.59 ERA. Yeah, these were the jerseys that they wore yesterday. Obviously, they're City Connects. Let's go to the bottom of the 6th inning, 4-0, Kansas City. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. $17 subs away from 24,100. We're at 5 on the dono train, 95 to go. And we're at 63 likes, 37 to get to 100. Shout out to our female viewership as well as everyone watching in Oregon, Washington, the Pacific Northwest, and beyond, as well as anyone watching in the United States, Canada, South America, Mexico, Asia, and beyond. Appreciate you. First pitch into Salvador Perez is a ball. Low and at the knees, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch. Big swing and a miss, low and away. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Kirby. 1 ball and 1 strike to Salvador Perez. 1-1 pitch. Popped up in foul territory. Naylor is there, and that is 1 away. I do have PayPal. Usually people will do the Super Chat, the Venmo, or the Cash App, but I do have PayPal as well. Next up, 0 for 1 with 2 RBIs, Carter Jensen. First pitch from Kirby to Jensen, takes a strike looking with a 4-seam fastball right down the middle, 96 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, low and inside at the knees, cutter, 94 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike to Carter Jensen. One pitch in there for a strike looking down the middle. Sweeper, 86 miles an hour there by George Kirby. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Carter Jensen. 1-2 pitch. And a little blooper into right field, right in front of Luke Raley, and another single for the Kansas City Royals. Next up in the 6th hole, right fielder Jack Caglione. And hopefully we get a slow dribbler up the middle and we can get a double play and get out of this inning. Yeah, we do need the Mariner Moose. First pitch from Kirby to Caglione is low and away with a sweeper, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, little dribbler towards first base and foul. Sweeper again, 86 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike to Jack Caglione. We need that Soto mojo, that Mariner magic. Hopefully hopefully the Mariner Moose will give us a little bit of luck that we definitely need. We won yesterday 2-0 with the Mitch Garver 2-run jack, and now we're the team, getting blanked here today with Kirby on the mound, which is shocking, but, I still think that we can come back. Now, can we come back all the way to win? I don't know, but again, I know that we can at least put a couple runs on the board before this one is over, especially with our strong lefty lineup. But again, even with the strong lefty lineup in, they haven't been able to rough up Kolek yet at this point. 1-2 pitch. And a little dribbler there. Throw to first from Cole Young, and that is 2 away. Jensen at second. And next up for the Royals in the 7-hole, left fielder Isaac Collins. First pitch is high and inside, 1-0 count. It's like Ty France. He used to be the guy that would get hit the most. Sometimes it's, I don't think it's necessarily personal, against Ty or Randy, but sometimes it does have to do with, the way that you stand in the box and depending on what happens. Runner is coming home and safe. Wow, that was close. Seems like every time that they have a chance for a play at home, that was the best throw out of all the throws today. And we are going to challenge. And again, obviously, Julio throwing a ball, rather than Randy, gives you a better chance. And that was the first ball that was kind of on point to Pareda. And again, we are challenging, and hopefully this will be an out instead of a RBI single. It was a very bang play there. As I'm watching the replay, it looks like he ends up getting his hand on the plate right before the tag. So I don't think that we're going to win this challenge. And if that's the case, we're going to be down 5-0, and that's the most that we can be down by for us to actually come back. Anything above 5 runs in 2026, we don't come back from. But if we get down by 4 or 5, there's a very small percentage chance, that we can come back. Maybe not all the way to come back and win, but, at least come back a little. But it's a pretty bang play, but I assume that there's not going to be enough evidence to overturn this, and runner will be safe. Runner was called safe from the home plate ump, and I assume that call will stand. And it does. Not everything is going against us, today. So, but again, it didn't really look like he got him. Initially, it looked like there was a chance, but after slowing that replay down, definitely looks like the hand got in there just a split second before the tag. So, bottom of the 6th inning, 5-0 Kansas City. Next up is Michael Massey. First pitch takes a strike, looking high and away with a sweeper, 85 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Throw to first, and he is safe. Definitely one of the worst outings from Kirby this year, but it's not like the offense has really helped us out either. So, and the defense has looked a little shaky too. Again, when things are going great, every single thing starts to kind of line up, but obviously in this particular matchup, it all started right, at the very beginning of the game, and, Kirby couldn't get outs, and, they definitely beat us up early, and that kind of set the tone. 3 runs in the first, 1 in the third, and 1 in the 6th. One pitch, and another blooper up the middle. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this. It's like a never-ending loop Like, regardless on who the batter is, it's like the same play over and over and over, like a little blooper right in front of Julio. No time really to get there, but Kirby's pitches aren't fooling anybody, at least not today. Massey singles to center, Collins to third, and now we have runners at first and third with 2 outs. And again, it's not looking good here. Next up is Kyle Isbell. First pitch is a ball. Kirby's at 91 pitches right now. One 1-0 pitch, little line drive. Young is there. Throw to first. We leave 2 runners stranded, thank God, so we're not down 7-0. But again, the damage has been done. Kirby has not looked as dominant as he has earlier, in some of his starts. He's given up way too many hits. And again, like, when's the last time we've seen George Kirby give up fucking 9 hits? I mean, thankfully we haven't given up any home runs, but 9 fucking hits is unacceptable, And again, we won yesterday, 2-0 with the Mitch Garver 2-run jack. And now we got our strong lineup, with lefties, with Kirby, but the lefties can't hit. We have an error on defense, and then Kirby got rocked today. So kind of hard to figure this team out, from one game to the next. You just don't really know what's going to happen. But this is the most that we can be down by, where we could actually come back and win or make it interesting. Anything above 5, good night. But again, hopefully, Kolek will go out and we can at least get a couple runs and see what happens from then on out. But now it's going to be a 3-inning sprint, and we've definitely put ourselves in a bad hole. And we definitely are home run dependent, and hopefully we can get a home run or 2 or 3 before this one is over. We're going to fucking need it. Next up, 0 for 2, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. Batting second, 0 for 2, first baseman Josh Naylor. And batting third, 0 for 2, left fielder Randy Arozarena. And we can't continue to have our best hitters, continue to go 0-2. We need someone to get us going, and hopefully it'll be one of those 3 guys or all of them. Let's go. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. $17 subs away from 24,100. We're at 5 on the Dono train. 95 to go on this Memorial Day weekend. And let's see how close we are to 100 on the likes. We are at 63. All right, 37 more likes to get to 100. One pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kolek to Rodriguez. And this is crazy, right? With all the hits that Kirby has given up, Kolek has got a shutout in the 7th inning, and he doesn't even have 1 K. That's the type of day it's been for us today, I guess. And I don't think I've ever seen a shutout like this with a pitcher, doing as good as, Kolek with not 1 punch out. Very weird. But I guess that's what we got going on this Memorial Day weekend. I know we're going to play better with Wu tomorrow, but I definitely was not expecting the ass whooping that we're getting right now. Not with our lefty lineup and Kirby on the mound. I thought, I didn't think it would be 5-0 Mariners either. I thought it would be, 2-3 runs, maybe like a 3-1 score right now, something like that. But apparently that wasn't the case for us and the sports gods here today. 1-2 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. 8 ground outs, 8 flyouts, no strikeouts. What the hell is going on here today? 2-2 pitch, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. 3-2 pitch, low and at the knees, and we finally get on base with a walk. Come on, Julio. All right, so now we got Julio at first base, and we desperately need a home run, And if you can get a 2-run blast or a 3-run jack, depending on if Naylor can get on and if Randy hits a homer, as bad as we've played so far today, if we can get, the score to 5-2 or 5-3, we're going to be in it as long as the bullpen doesn't have a meltdown, which you never know. Throw to first, and Julio is safe. Everything looks bad when you're at a 0, but with one swing, you can get it to 5-2 or 5-3 with a couple innings left. There's going to be a small chance that you might be able to come back. First pitch, low and at the knees. Four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour there by Kolek. 1-0 count. And he's only at 78 pitches, which is maddening. It's like he could pitch all of the 7th and the 8th if they wanted to, and hopefully they won't. 1-0 pitch, low and at the knees. Cutter, 89 miles an hour. 2 balls and no strikes to Josh Naylor. Can we get a meltdown by Kolek? Pitch, hard hit ball towards first base and foul. Cutter, 89 miles an hour there by Kolek. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first. Julio Rodriguez with a walk with no outs. Top of the 7th inning. We're down by 5. We just need to get off the 0. We need Kolek to have a meltdown. Two-one pitch. Little dribbler up the middle. Is that going to be a double play? Holy hell. Double play. And again, anything to Bobby Witt Jr., it's just game over. He just gobbles up everything. And we've had a majority of our hits go to him. And that's why we're at 0 as well. So rough. Big double play there by Naylor. Rodriguez out at second, and Bobby Witt Jr. covers a lot of ground. I mean, he is more than likely a Hall of Fame, first ballot player. So. And again, we don't play good normally against the Royals or the Athletics or the A's. And Randy, line drive into left, and that is out number 3. Let's go to the bottom of the 7th inning. And again, if we still have to see Kolek, we might end up losing 5-0, but hopefully they'll end up pulling him at some point so we can actually get on the board and get at least 1 or 2 before this one is over. But rough. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 7th inning and see who's up next year for the Royals. Next up, 1 for 3 with a run and a K, third baseman Michael Garcia. Batting second, 2 for 3 with 2 runs, shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. And batting third, 1 for 3 with a run and an RBI, first baseman Vinny Pasquantino. All right, Kirby is done. Alex Hoppe is coming in. All right, let's look at Kirby's final line. One of his worst starts of the year, unfortunately. 6 innings pitched, 9 hits, 3 earned runs, 0 walks, 3 Ks, 92 pitches, 63 strikes, 3.54 ERA. Not ideal. And we're going to have Hoppe come in, and hopefully Hoppe can get the job done. And, we got Wu tomorrow, who I believe is our best pitcher, on the staff, especially when he's on. He gives you the most electric stuff. And, Kirby's been great besides today, for the most part. Bryce Miller looks really good in his first 2 starts. And then obviously Hancock has been up and down, and same thing with Logan Gilbert, and we obviously know how bad Castillo has been. That's why they have transitioned him into the pen with an ERA above 6. So just got to find a way. Bottom of the 7th inning, 5-0 Royals. And again, hopefully we can find a way to at least get something before this game is over. Hoppe coming in for the Mariners. And again, they're going to go Michael Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., and Vinny Pasquantino. And then tomorrow's game will be early at 11:10 a.m. Pacific. So adjust your schedules accordingly. And then after the game is over, I'm going to get a chance to go to one of the biggest arcades in the United States with my best friend, Justin. And we're going to celebrate our birthdays that have already passed to, some nice arcade fun. They have over 800 machines, old and new, and definitely looking forward to it. First pitch, line drive there by Michael Garcia. And that is 1 away. Good defense there by the Mariners. Next up is Bobby Witt Jr. In Oregon. It's an arcade / museum. So you just pay like a flat fee, of like, I'm not really sure how much it is, maybe like 10 or 12 bucks. And then everything is free inside. And it is massive. And it's not just pinball, it's like old school games, from the arcade machines in the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, plus newer stuff within the last 5 to 10 years. It's incredible. And then they even have like, the little hoop shoots, where you can shoot hoops with a friend and battle. I mean, they got a little bit of everything there, but again, it's the most massive arcade. I usually would go to Ground Control in downtown Portland, and obviously, you can drink there if you want, and they have little, holders for your drinks while you play. It's 2 stories, but they only have a few hundred games at that location, maybe 200 to 300. But the other location around the Hillsborough area that just opened up within a year or two is one of the biggest in the country. And again, I've only been there once, and it was amazing. Like, you can't even go through every game, even if you're there for 4, 5, 6 hours, you're only going to see a fraction of what's available. 2-2 pitch from Hoppy, and a little blooper up the middle, and Julio is there, and that is 2 away. Nice job there by Julio Rodriguez. 2 up and 2 down. Yeah, and it's not just, for kids. There's a lot of adults that are there. It's, sometimes people assume, the arcades are just going to be filled up, kind of like a Wonderland or a Chuck E. Cheese, and it's just going to be like little kids. But it's actually a lot of adults, that are there from all ages, from 20 all the way up to, 60 and up. Because again, you get a wide range of games. So it's really for kids and adults, and it's an incredible place. First pitch to Pasquantino is low and at the knees, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking down the middle, slider 89 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike to Vinny Pasquantino. Oh, man. I mean, I like when me and my best friend go to an arcade, we try to beat games. So you get a lot of these other people that will go from game to game, and again, I want to accomplish something. So if that means that we spend a half hour to an hour beating a game, while we're only there maybe for 3 or 4 hours, so be it. But, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Battletoads, Sunset Riders, X-Men, where it has like 5 or 6, joysticks. I like playing games where we can play together and win. And that is popped up by Pasquantino. Julio is there, and that is 3 up and 3 down. All right, end of the 7th inning. We have 2 innings to go to get 5 runs, which is almost impossible. But again, they're going to bring another pitcher out besides Kolek, and hopefully we can get going. But again, it's going to be tough. But NFL Blitz, NBA Hang Time, WrestleFest, any of the old school wrestling games from back in the day, in the 90s and the 2000s. Time Crisis. I mean, you name it. I've probably played it. It just really depends. And, sometimes I'll like the shooters. Sometimes I like the sports. I like side-scrolling games where we can, end up beating a game together. And The Simpsons, I love that game. Me and my best friend have beaten that with Homer and Bart, as well as Marge and Lisa. So it, just kind of depends on our mood and whatnot. But usually every time we go to an arcade, we at minimum beat 1 game, but sometimes we'll beat 2 or 3. And sometimes that means that we're on one machine for like 30 minutes to an hour, but there's nothing more fulfilling than going to an arcade and beating a game when 99.9% of the people that go there never beat a game. So, you have to have skills, and you have to actually have someone that knows how to play video games as your partner. And luckily, my best friend Justin grew up in the same era as me, in the 80s and 90s. So we're very familiar, but, Battletoads is the game that we beat last time, and we've never even seen it at the arcade in Oregon before. And so when they had the Battletoads machine, I don't know where the hell they got it. It's kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles side-scrolling. It's insane. And again, who knows? Maybe we'll end up going after that one again. So end of the 7th inning, 5-0 Kansas City. It's called Next Level Pinball Shop and Museum in Hillsborough. which is just a little like suburb outside of Beaverton near Aloha, not very far away from Beaverton. So next up, 2 for 2, right fielder Luke Raley. And Kolek is still out there. Holy hell. And a hard hit ball by Luke Raley drops in front of Isbell. And Luke Raley, 3 for 3. At least someone is having a good game. And again, if this right here, doesn't let Dan Wilson understand that you got 10 home runs, you're leading the team, and even in a dog shit game, you're 3 for 3. Let Luke Raley play right field every day for the rest of the year. Wake up, Dan. Next up in the 6th hole, second baseman Cole Young. And this might be the inning we finally get on the board. And a little dribbler towards first base, and down goes Young, and that is one away, but Raley hustles to third. All right, we have a runner at third with one out. This is the best chance that we've had to get a run. And again, hopefully we can get one here. And again, they have Kolek still out there in the 8th inning. Yeah, I mean, I had an Atari 2600 growing up, so I might look young, but I'm 44. So, I had an Atari 2600, a Nintendo, Sega, I kind of went through that, whole, era. And so, when I used to play video games, they were like stick figures, and whatnot. So, when you went from Atari 2600 to Nintendo, it was like, wow, Super Mario 3 and Tecmo Bowl, Super Tecmo Bowl, Double Dragon, all of that. And then to be able to go from that, to the next level of like Sega and Super Nintendo, that was like another big like increase from 8-bit to 16-bit. And then obviously going to like the Nintendo 64 and then the PlayStation, things, I always dreamed about, video games looking like that, when I was a kid. And again, they do have an amazing selection there at that arcade. But I do like ground control in downtown as well. But usually when we go there, it's when we have a Blazer game that we're going to be going to after. So we try to do the arcade first, maybe get pizza and then go to the Blazer game. But we haven't been to ground control in a few months. But this other location, the Museum Arcade, one of the biggest in the country, it's closer to where we live. So obviously the Lyft and Uber is cheaper. So, kind of makes sense to go to one that's a little bit closer that has more games. Pitch fouled off there by Canzone. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Kolek to Canzone. 2-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Dom. And that is 2 away. First strikeout of the game for Stephen Kolek. Unreal. I've never seen someone pitch through 8 innings and get their first K in the 8th inning. Down goes Dom. And again, not as consistent as a Luke Raley. So if you want him to split at DH with other guys, fine. But Luke Raley needs to be playing every day. And again, once that happens and we get Donovan back and Cal, then things will turn around for this team. But if Dan continues Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone with the splits, we're in trouble. First pitch is low and away. 1-0 count to Johnny Pareda. 1-0 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and no strikes to Johnny Pareda. Yeah, I never had Pitfall, but I had Jungle Hunt, which was very similar on the Atari 2600. That was my last Atari 2600 game. 2-0 pitch, takes a strike looking high and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike from Kolek to Pareda. But the way that the arcade games look now compared to, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s for a lot of us, it's crazy. 3-1 pitch, fouled off with the sinker, low and away. Towards third base, out of play. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Johnny Pareda. Well, it's just George Kirby had a terrible, first inning. And so that kind of set the tone. And then our hitters, they didn't show up today. That's just bottom line. Kirby got us into a hole. But again, even if the game is 1-0, we're still, sitting at a 0. So that goes out of play into about the 5th row. And again, our inability to hit lately, whether it's a strong lefty lineup, or a weak righty lineup, we've definitely been putting up a lot of zeros and ones lately. And it shows you how important Brandon Donovan and Cal Raleigh are to this team. Even though Cal was in a slump, Donnie is very essential, to have as a leadoff hitter. And if with the Mariners, if you get that first hit, from that first batter, it sets the tone. And again, when you don't have Donnie, and you're not going to go Julio or Randy anymore, JP's not good enough to be a leadoff hitter. They need to switch to Cole Young, and maybe that could get us going more times than not. But, it's not like Cole Young is batting over 300 either, but I think he's got a better chance to kind of get the team going than JP lately. And that is popped up, and that is out number 3. But, based on how the game is going, it looks like we might end up getting shut out, but I'm hoping that we can at least put up a run or two before it's over. But it's tough sledding here so far. It's just, one of those games where Kirby shit the bed and then the offense gave up. I don't want to say they gave up. They just, haven't been able to get a hit. And, again, we got the 2-0 win yesterday because of Mitch Garver, but, not enough, team hitting at this point. Next up for the Royals, here in the bottom of the 8th, 0 for 3, DHing Salvador Perez. Batting second in the 5-hole, catcher Carter Jensen, and batting third in the 6-hole, right fielder Jack Caglione. And luckily, we don't have too many games that are like this. We might have L's and we might end up getting beat up from time to time, but it's not often that we're going to lose 5-0, and thankfully, we're going to get shut out like this, like up to this point. With like 52, 53 games in, we probably have had 5, 6, 7 games like this. But again, we could have had a hell of a lot more. We just have to hope that Brian Wu on the mound tomorrow, brings his A game, gets somewhere between, 7 and 12 Ks, and then we end up producing some fucking offense. And it shows you like how home run dependent this team is. When we hit home runs, it's usually not just one, it's 2, 3, or 4. But when we don't hit any, this is what usually happens, unfortunately. So, try to ends up. Let's go M's. $17 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 5 on the Dono train, 95 to go. Let's see if we can get to 100 likes before this one is over. We're at 68. All right, Nick Davila is coming in now. So Hoppy is done. First pitch from Nick Davila to Salvador Perez, inside for a strike, 0-1 count. Davila on the mound, Salvador Perez in the box. 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Salvador Perez. Wow, they're going to have Colette go the whole game. Trying to get a complete game on the Mariners. How dare they? 1-1 pitch, high and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike to Salvador Perez. 2-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss there by Salvador. 2 balls and 2 strikes. With nobody on and no outs, bottom of the 8th, we're down by 5. Two-two pitch, little dribbler towards third base. Emerson is there. Throw to Naylor, and that is 1 away.
Oh my God.
Good defense there from Colt Emerson, and that is 1 up and 1 down. Next up is Carter Jensen, 1 for 2 with a run and 2 RBIs on deck in the 6-hole, right fielder Jack Caglione. Lawyer Malloy taking your cassette tapes. Uh-oh. First pitch is fouled off there by Carter Jensen. 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch from Davila. In there for a strike. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour, high and away. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the 8th, 5-0 Royals. And again, I hope that we can get at least one. Again, to some people it doesn't matter, but I want us to at least fight to the very end if possible. But again, it's been really tough sledding here today. Kirby put us in a hole early. The offense has not been able to get going. Bobby Witt Jr. Showing why he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Just gobbling up everything in his area, and pretty much almost every ball that we had went to him. And just no home runs. Pitching wasn't good today. The defense wasn't good overall. Sometimes these are the outcomes that you end up getting. But we do have Brian Wu on the mound tomorrow at 11:10 a.m. So set your schedules accordingly. And I do think that we can win tomorrow, and we will be better than this tomorrow as well. I don't think we're going to get back-to-back meltdowns by Kirby and Wu. Now, is it possible? Yes, but I have to assume that we're going to be able to win the series, and Wu will pitch well, and we're going to get a home run or 2 tomorrow, and we'll find a way to get that dub and the series dub. Pitch is low and at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Davila to Jensen. 3-2 pitch, high and away, and that is a walk to Carter Jensen. Next up is Jack Caglione. Plus baseball is one of the hardest sports, to play. Obviously with basketball, if you got the height, you can obviously shoot and, do the basics, and obviously with football, throwing and catching and whatnot. But, for baseball and hockey, it's a lot different, to be able to hit a baseball, throw a baseball, defend a baseball, much harder than basketball or football. And then with hockey, having to be able to skate and to be able to pass and score and defend, the NHL and the MLB are a billion times harder than the NBA or, the NFL. Obviously you have to be a special talent to make a, pro sport, there's no doubt about that, but as far as the skill set that you have to have, to me, baseball and hockey are a billion times harder than football and basketball. Pitch fouled off, high and inside from Caglione. 1 ball and 1 strike with a runner at first and 1 out. 1-1 pitch, high and inside, 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour missing. 2 balls and 1 strike to Jack Caglione. But again, when we play the Royals, the Angels, and the Athletics, more times than not, I don't know if it's just playing down, to the competition, but those 3 teams have our number, and again, it's like based off the talent that we have, you would think that we would be able to, get a lot of wins, but again, when you play down to the competition, sometimes that happens, and it's not just in baseball, it's in the NFL, college football, the NHL, the NBA, sometimes there's teams that you get up for, like when we play the Yankees, when we play the Astros, the Rangers, or typically some of the good teams in the National League. Like, we obviously did good against the Braves. We got our ass kicked, by the Padres, swept at home and swept on the road, So, when we play up to the competition, we may not win, but at least we, usually put our best foot forward. But when you play down to the competition, sometimes this happens. And Caglione strikes out swinging with that slider, and that is 2 away. Next up is left fielder Isaac Collins. First pitch from Davila to Collins is low and away. Slider 87 miles an hour. 1-0 count. One 0 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and no strikes from Davila to Collins. Tried ends up. Let's go M's. Got to find a way to at least get 1. I hate when we end up getting zeros. I don't care what the score is on the other side, but it's not a good game today for us. 1-1 pitch, high and away. Slider 87 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike from Davila to Collins. Davila steps off the mound. And again, we can always, be judgmental and we can be critical, of what we see, but obviously as fans, fanatics, or even fair weather, type of individuals, it's not like any of us could do better than these pros, and again, it's just, when you're such a passionate fan, you want the best for your team. But, again, baseball, just one of those things. It's not easy to play, and, throwing a baseball, hitting a baseball, defending a baseball, not very many people could do it on planet Earth. At least at a very high level. I mean, there's people that could do it, but, not at a high level. So 3-1 pitch to Collins, and fouls that behind the plate. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Davila to Collins. And I don't think we've seen too many opposing pitchers, go for a complete game on us. And hopefully he'll have a little bit of a meltdown so we don't just lose 5-0, but it'll depend on who's up. 3-2 pitch, high and away, and that's a walk. And we're getting a challenge here by Pareda. And that is a challenge that we will lose after Pareda winning the first 2. And the call stands, confirmed walk. And now we have runners at first and second with 2 outs. Nick Davila on the mound, Isaac Collins to first. Next up is Michael Massey. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Bottom of the 8th, runners at first and second with 2 outs. Royals up 5-0 on the M's, just beating us down inning after inning. But luckily we got Brian Wu on the mound tomorrow, and we still have a chance, to win the series, which, we just need to try to get to 500 and then above 500. And, we're able to win a couple games in a row, but it just seems like once we get to that 3rd potential win in a row, we just shit the bed for whatever reason, and if we want to be able to turn things around, we're going to have to try to get on a 3-game, 4-game, 5-game, 6-game win streak. But I don't think that's going to happen until we get Donnie and Cal back. Little dribbler towards first, Naylor toe tap on the bag, and they leave 2 runners stranded, thankfully. And now we end up going to the top of the 9th. Last chance here for the Mariners to at least get a run or 2 to prevent the shutout. All right, let's see if we actually have the potential batters to maybe get an unexpected home run or possibly, back-to-back hits. Let's see. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 2 in the 9-hole, third baseman Colt Emerson. Batting second, 0 for 3, shortstop J.P. Crawford. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a walk, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. And things are bad when some of your players only have 2 at-bats and it's at the end of the game. Everyone, when things are going well, should have around, 4 at-bats, and some guys have 5. But unfortunately, this has not been, the game that we were expecting. Shout out to the icon and the legend, Rick Riz, and hopefully we end up getting a better performance tomorrow. End of the 8th inning, 5-0 Royals. 17 subs away from 24,100. We're at 5 on the Dono train. 95 to go. And let's see if we can collect a few more likes before the stream ends on this Memorial Day weekend holiday. We're at 72. We need 28 to get to 100. So if you are in the room, and out of the 114 that are watching, if you haven't hit the like button yet, if we can get 28 people out of the 114, we'll hit 100. And this is the first time all year that we're going to have a pitcher try to go the distance against us. We haven't had anybody go the distance. 8 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 1 K, and he got his first K, in the 8th inning, which is nuts. I've never seen that before in 2026 against the Mariners. He's at 96 pitches, 61 strikes, and they're going to try to have him go for a complete game. So this is a first for us and for the Royals, I believe. So he's got one career shutout on May 10th, 2025. And hopefully we can prevent the shutout here. First pitch to Colt Emerson is low and at the knees, four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, 1-0 count. One 0 pitch, low and at the knees, 2 balls and no strikes from Kolek to Emerson. Top of the 9th inning, 5-0 Royals. Kolek is going for a complete game shutout, and we are trying to prevent that from happening. 2-0 pitch. In there for a strike, high and away. Takes that strike looking, 94 miles an hour with a four-seam fastball by Kolek. 2 balls and 1 strike to Colt Emerson. Come on, Colt. 2-1 pitch. Fouls that one off towards first base and out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. Got to get at least 1 run. 2-2 pitch. And Emerson fouls it out of play in left field. And again, we got Brian Wu on the mound tomorrow, 11:10 Pacific. So it's a little early. And then I'll be able to go to that biggest arcade in the country afterwards. And I'm hoping to go to the arcade with my best friend, celebrating a win rather than back-to-back losses. And I do think Wu will be electric tomorrow. And we just have to hope that the batters can step up for him. Pitch fouled off towards third base. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Kolek to Emerson. 2-2 pitch. Fouls that one behind the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 9th inning, 5-0 Royals. And, luckily we've only had 5, 6, 7 games like this, out of 52. It could, or, we're on our 53rd game right now. So, obviously it could be, much worse. I mean, there's teams that have had 15 of these type of games within the first, 52, 53 games. So obviously it stings and hurts as Emerson strikes out on one knee, and that is 1 away. But again, anytime you end up getting blanked, whether it's 1-0 or fucking 15-0, it doesn't feel good. All right, down goes Colt, and that is 1 away. Next up is J.P. Crawford, and on deck is Julio Rodriguez. And again, these are the type of games where, you really miss Brandon Donovan and Cal Raleigh. Again, even though Cal was on a big slump this year, just having him behind the plate, and obviously with, Donnie leading off, JP is nowhere near being the leadoff hitter as Donnie. I mean, Donnie is the closest thing that we have to Ichiro, and with him being injured, it's not ideal. And popped up into left field, and that is 2 away. And now Kolek is 1 out away from a complete game shutout. But let's hope that Julio can get a hold of one and spoil the party, so to speak. Come on, J-Rod. But we got to take our, ups and our downs, and, it's going to be a season of peaks and valleys. And we're going to have games where we, beat the opponent's ass 5-0 and, have something like this. It's just sometimes you get on the opposite end of this, shutout, and it's, definitely doesn't feel good. 1-0 pitch. Julio pops it up. Should be a routine play for Kyle Isbell. And that is out number 3. And a complete game shutout there for Stephen Kolek. And again, one of the worst games for the Mariners in 2026, if we're being honest. But at least we won yesterday with Mitch Garver, 2-run blast. And again, 2-0 game 1, 5-0 game 2 Royals. And we're going to have a chance to be able to win the series with Brian Wu on the mound tomorrow. So again, everyone enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and hopefully we'll be able to, win the series with Wu on the mound tomorrow. Final score, Royals 5, Mariners 0. And let's go over the stat line real quick. And obviously for the Mariners, it's not a whole lot, so we'll go through it quickly. All right, J.P. Crawford 0 for 4. Julio Rodriguez 0 for 3. Naylor 0 for 3. Randy 0 for 3. And look at this. Low hold when we get our ass kicked. Luke Raley 3 for 3. Let him play every day, Dan Wilson. Don't be dumb. Cole Young 1 for 3. Dominic Canzone 0 for 3. Johnny Pareda 0 for 3. And Colt Emerson 0 for 3. And then on the flip side, go with the Royals here. It's like everyone got a fucking hit except for like 2 players. Michael Garcia, 1 for 4 with 1. Bobby Witt Jr., 2 for 4 with 2 runs and some awesome defense. Vinny Pasquantino, 1 for 4 with a run and an RBI. Salvador Perez, 0 for 4. Carter Jensen, 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs and a run. Jack Caglione, 1 for 4 with an RBI. Isaac Collins, 1 for 3 with an RBI. Michael Massey, 2 for 4. And Kyle Isbell, 0 for 3. And we had no home runs today. Just hits and RBIs. And again, not ideal. George Kirby gets the loss, and he goes to 5-3. Colette gets the win. And again, Royals 5, Mariners 0. Hopefully we don't have too many more games like this. And again, it's going to take us a while, to get above 500. And again, we might not be able to do it until Cal and Donnie come back, if we're being honest. So we'll see where it goes. But I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys. Don't let the L, ruin your Saturday. We got an opportunity tomorrow with Woo to still win the series. And I do believe that we'll have a very good chance of doing that. So final score, Royals 5, Mariners 0. And I got one question for you. Well, talk sports like us. Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, and I am out. Tridents up and go Mariners.